Yes, I voted for Donald Trump. The reason I voted for Donald Trump was because he said he was going to end inflation. He was going to drop the prices of a lot of things that's real expensive now. Now it's looking like he ain't ending shit. And the price is not only double, it's going up. Like I say, I feel kind of played at a point like, come on, Trump. You ain't even trying, bro. I ain't trying to criticize you, but come on, bro. This ain't what we all voted for. We voted for you to drop them prices, man, and everything. I'm talking about back when chips was like, you could get 4 bags of chips for like 25 cents, bro. Them type of prices. Do your job, Trump, man, or you will get replaced. Do your job, Trump, or you will get replaced. We ain't put you in the office just for no reason, bro. I'm not the only one think about this, man, how everything's still going up. I thought he was going to stop inflation, and still he making it even worse. God damn shame. Good boy. Good boy.
Now, as President Trump continues to settle in office over the second term that he won, there are different reactions that Americans are giving from different quarters. And I think it is quite interesting to listen to some of the lamentations that they are giving, because there are those who voted for Trump expecting positive outcomes. However, what they are seeing already is not giving them any hope. But my question is it quite early to start ranting, or is it just that Trump doesn't get it? Listen to some of the complaints that Americans are giving out over President Trump's decisions in the early days of his second term. Let's watch.
Fox got caught, plain and simple. So on Sunday, President Donald Trump attended the Super Bowl. He was the first sitting president to ever attend the game. When Donald Trump was brought out on the field, because he needed that attention to make him feel good about his shitty self, he was booed widely in the stands there. There are videos all over the internet of what the sound in the stadium actually sounded like during those moments. I encourage you to look on TikTok and what other social media platforms you are on to find those videos, because they are everywhere. What we've also discovered now is that news media around the world from other areas, Germany, Australia, and whatever, that were there covering the actual Super Bowl, they aired the boos live, as opposed to in the US, where there was a glaring difference on our Fox broadcast system. Fox Sports actually superimposed cheers over the sound of the people booing in the stadium, so the people watching at home would think Donald Trump was being cheered on. And now that the news media in other parts of the world are actually reporting on what was taking place at that moment, we know that Fox News put those fake cheers in the live broadcast so that it didn't look like Donald Trump's ego was taking the hit it was in real time. That, my friends, is called propaganda. Welcome to Big Brother's 1984. And I love that Donald Trump is such a thin-skinned little... They had to give him fake cheers. You fucking loser.
If you voted for Trump and you're wondering why your children don't talk to you, then perhaps I have a little bit of insight for you. My dad voted for Trump all 3 times. The same man who kissed my head and my sister's head as we were coming out of my mom's body because he wanted to be the first person to touch us. My sister has a lot of health issues that total up to about 80 grand a year. If they cut into the Affordable Care Act, it could literally kill her. And as women, we all know how that's been going for us. You cannot expect your children to love you unconditionally if you keep voting against their interests. That's not showing love. You don't care about us.
You can literally tell MAGA that we spent $850 million sending accordion play monkeys to a cave in Zimbabwe, and they will totally believe that and go screaming about it on the internet. Not much in there, you know what I mean?
I have a question for the maggots. So y'all got everything you wanted, right? Presidency, majority Senate, majority House, majority Supreme Court. Every single ball that could possibly be in your court is there right now. What exactly more is it that you need in order to stop bitching about any and everything? Because I still see insidiously, y'all are madder than you were before. So much for owning the libs. Are you not happy? And this is, of course, just the exhausting beginning of what we're bound to witness unfolding over the course of the next 4 years, which is you lot having all of the power and subsequently having to reconcile with the inevitable revelation that black people, trans people, Mexican people, whoever else you have a problem with for some reason, are not the root causes of your issues. You are miserable, hateful, bitter, spiteful because that's who you are and always have been. We could get rid of all of the minorities, all of the queer people in this country, and your would still be sitting there mad as hating yourself, hating your life, hating your job, hating your spouse, hating your children, because you're just a mad and nothing will ever make you happy. Hell, if we did that, y'all would likely just start discriminating against the white people who have browner hair and browner eyes than you. Y'all are chasing your fucking tails and forcing all of us to watch.
Well, you'll be a Republican once you're older. Hey, how about off? Because what you really just told me, based on the modern-day Republican definition, is that someday I'm going to grow up, stop caring about other people, and become a bigoted, selfish loser. And let me assure you, I would sooner die than join your hateful, bigoted little club of Trump sycophants. That's not going to happen. Let's go over some of the that the Republican Party has stood on for the last 10 years, shall we? Free lunch for kids at schools. Not going to happen. Firearm law reform so those same kids stop getting shot at school. Not gonna happen. Police reform so that minorities stop being murdered tragically and repeatedly by police. Not gonna happen. Tax breaks for the ultra wealthy paid for off the back of the middle class. There's a great idea for Republicans. Allow a foreign-born billionaire to go through the sensitive data of millions of Americans. According to Republicans, that's a great idea. Take away the right to bodily autonomy for millions of American women. That's what the Republican Party wants to do. So allow me to make myself crystal clear. The next time one of you window lickers tells me that I'm going to be a Republican when I get older and wise up, I'm going to tell you to get
I keep seeing videos of people saying like how they regret their vote and if they could go back, they would change their vote or they wouldn't vote or blah, 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 right? Y'all don't regret your vote. You regret that those hateful things that you wished upon other people are now affecting you when you didn't know that they would. So I don't feel bad for you. You're getting exactly what's coming for you, and I hope you enjoy these next 4 years.
I'm going to need this video to get over to MAGA because I can't do this for the next 4 years, especially when it pertains to Elon Musk. If I have to hear one more time, why are people on the left so upset that Elon's out here exposing fraud and corruption and wasteful spending? One more time, I'm going to lose my shit. Now I know you guys don't like me, and that's fine, but I'm at least hoping you're going to listen to what I have to say. Now I know things can seem like a conspiracy theory when you don't know how they work, and Elon Musk is banking on that. He hasn't cracked some secret code. He doesn't have access to some secret government database. You have always had access. It is public information for the American taxpayers to know how their money is being spent. He hasn't exposed anything. People like me are upset because you have taken the power away from the people and allowed the richest man in the world to dictate what programs are and are not important to the American people. We vote for our Congress people. We vote for them to represent us in the government. Congress comes together to vote on a bill and control spending. That is what Congress does. And if you don't like the way they're spending their money, you get to tell them that. Or in 2 or 6 years, you get to vote them out. That is democracy. But now you have given unlimited access, unlimited power to the richest man in the world, one person to determine that. That is an oligarchy. That is why we are upset. You have taken away the power from the people. You have taken away the power from the people you voted in to represent you and put it in the hands of one man. You guys want to say that actors and musicians shouldn't have an opinion on politics because they're out of touch with the American people, with the average American person? They don't have a right to their opinions. But the richest man in the world has the right to dictate where our money gets spent or what is considered wasteful spending. This is why we're upset. He hasn't exposed any fraud. He hasn't exposed any corruption. Fraud would be Congress coming together, right, and voting to spend $100 million on Project A. Then $100 million gets sent for Project A, but it was spent on Project B, C, and D. That is fraud. He hasn't exposed anything like that. He's telling you information you have always had access to. And of course, they're going to throw out numbers that they know are going to piss you off, like $59 million sent to legal migrants in New York City. That's wasteful spending. Putting a roof over people's heads that were sent to a city for a publicity stunt, human beings. But this is good? The State Department plans $400 million purchase of armored Tesla Cybertrucks. Elon has made over $13 billion in government contracts in the past 5 years. The richest man in the world who is saying we have wasteful spending in this country could easily have donated to the government he's claiming to save? Like, what do you think he's going to do with all this money? You think you're going to get a check? You think you're going to get back pay? 5 of the richest men in the world that collectively hold 30% of the global wealth were sitting behind Donald Trump at his inauguration. And you think they're in it for the American people. Holy. And because you're so desperate to think and try to convince yourselves that you made the right choice. Your $600 million was spent on sushi. $230 million was spent on K-Cups. All this bullshit that you're believing. Oh, Elon's going to put $40 million out for Super Bowl commercials to expose everything. And they know that you'll believe it. Because if you were too lazy to look up all this information on your own that you had access to, if you were too lazy to be on top of your representatives, if you were too lazy to do your research on your representatives' voting records, then you are too lazy to do anything to stop Elon Musk. That's why we're upset.
Just in case y'all did not know, Universal RX code is something that you can say to any pharmacist at any pharmacy. If your prescription costs a lot of money, you need to say to them, please run it under the Universal RX code. See how much money it saves you. Every single time I get this one prescription filled at CVS, it is $252. Every single time. I've gotten this prescription filled for over 5 years at CVS, and every single time I have to call them to say, please run that prescription under the Universal RX code. Every single time. They're not going to do it on their own. They're not going to tell you about it. So please, 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 I urge you to save yourself some money. Ask your pharmacist to run your prescription under the Universal RX code. Not Good RX, Universal RX code. And see how much it saves you. Because my $252 prescription goes down to $51.
I don't care if you are red or blue, you need to listen up. If you are a woman that has changed your name from your birth certificate, let's say through marriage, and you took your husband's name, you are no longer eligible to vote if this bill passes the Senate. It's already passed the House. So wake up. I am awake. 69 million women have changed their last name from their birth certificate and would be ineligible to vote. This bill also requires that you have to register to vote in person. Doesn't matter if you're elderly, disabled, doesn't matter, in person. And a driver's license will no longer do. You have to have a passport or your birth certificate. But if you've changed your name at all from your original birth certificate, you're okay? So we need this bill not to pass. It goes both ways. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Ironically, the bill is sponsored by the Republican Party. My Senator Mike Lee from Utah is a big proponent of this bill, but I'm just going to read you. It goes both ways on both parties, okay, are not exempt from this. Because if you're talking about which states possess more passports, it's blue states. It's the Democratic states. Red states are going to suffer from this in a very big way. Now, just to put it into perspective, there are approximately 146 million American citizens that do not possess a passport. 153 million Americans voted in the last election. So that leaves 7 million Americans left to vote if we're going by those stats. But then only 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, if you're in a red state, possess an actual passport. Now, if you've ever applied for a passport, it takes at least 6 months. You should plan 6 months ahead and several $100s later. But that's only if it will be the same as your birth certificate. We are absolutely going backwards. We need to stop this bill from being passed. Now, you can download this app called 5 Calls. I've downloaded it. It's extremely easy. It shows you all the bills that are coming up, and it gives you your senators, your House of Representatives based on your zip code. All you have to do, you don't even have to leave the app. You call, there's a script, all the numbers, everything is all there for you. This is a way that we can make a difference. The fact that it's already passed the House of Representatives is mind-boggling. This needs to stop.
America doesn't know. America doesn't know the same thing that Canada is hearing. I was just on a call with some very, very well-educated people. I mean, people who work in DC, lawyers, writers, like very well-educated people. And as of this morning, Saturday, February 8th, I was saying to them, yeah, Canada is preparing for war. And they were like, what are you talking about? They don't know. Like our prime minister yesterday, Justin Trudeau yesterday, was caught on a hot mic, but let's be honest, we all needed to know, and he caught saying it, that what I said earlier, like last week, what I said, that Trump is going to annex us, invade, he wants our critical minerals. It's a serious threat. It is not a joke. Jimmy Fallon is out there making jokes about, maybe 179 countries will watch the Super Bowl because we'll take over Canada by Sunday. Not funny, Jimmy. Not funny. And so I was on this call and I said, yeah, we're preparing for a war. And they were like, with who? With us, with the U.S. And I told them how serious it was, how Canadians everywhere have spent the last week boycotting the U.S. and looking up ways to make sure that they've sort of decentered the U.S. from their conversations and their lives. Like, this is a very serious, we're not going back. And Americans are not hearing it. They don't know. In British Columbia, which I'm sure most people don't know this, British Columbia is larger than every state except for Alaska, where I think we're almost twice the size of Texas. And our premier in BC has said that any government contracts going forward, if they have them with the U.S., they are going to, when the contracts come up, they're looking for other countries to do them with. So businesses that are out of the U.S. at all are going to be cut off from the province of BC. And that's huge. And I know that other premiers are doing the same thing. So I don't get why they don't know that this is serious. How do they not know? I mean, I assume it's just that they're not taking it seriously or that they haven't heard about it. How do they not know? Guys, you're about to go into war.
I'm going to give this warning one time and one time only, so I hope it reaches the people that it needs to reach, because quite frankly, I don't care. To the Trump voting women in red states that have been in my inbox the last 2 years, begging for help to get reproductive care in moments of desperation, those of you that I have helped along the way, you are no longer safe with me. And if you come in my inbox, I will out you to the whole of the internet. I will find your mom and dad and tell them. I will tell your pastor, your deacon, your neighbor, your friends. If you are in Texas, where there is a $10,000 bounty on you, if I were to report you, and I can do it from California, I will do it. I will collect that $10,000 and I will donate it to Planned Parenthood, to the Trevor Project, to Black-owned businesses. You are alone now. When I told my husband my intention to do this, he said, well, what about the women in those states that didn't want this? And he's right to be concerned about those women, and so am I. But I told him those women are in the right community. They have the right people surrounding them, and including me, and they'll be able to get the help that they need. But if you voted for Trump, you voted against your own interests, that's what you want. And I'm going to let you have that because, see, I foolishly thought everyone deserves the right to bodily autonomy, to have equality, to have these freedoms. And yes, I still think that, but I can't want that for you. You have to want that for yourself. So you are no longer my problem. And it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. So thank you.
So I just read the article where the Pope of the Catholic Church, that Pope, has written a letter to every Catholic church in the United States calling out Trump and telling the Catholic Church collectively to resist Trump. Now, you know you done messed up when the Pope has to write a letter about your mistakes. But I am left to ask again, what vision of Christianity does Trump think he's trying to defend or institute? Because thus far, he's decried the Episcopalians, the Presbyterians. His administration has claimed that the Lutherans, the entire denomination, are nothing but a money laundering scheme. And now the Catholic Church has stood up and said, no. Dear fellow Christians, when 4 separate denominations stand up and say no to this man, maybe it's time we start listening.
You just witnessed history in the making. Claudia Sheinbaum, la presidenta de Mexico, has asserted her power like never before. And she did this by standing up to one of the biggest tech giants in the world, Google. And make no mistake, she is not asking here, she is demanding. Sheinbaum has sent an official letter to Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, making it clear the name is the Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf of America, and they must correct it. And no, this is not just about a name on the map. This is about sovereignty, about respect, about Mexico refusing to be erased. For centuries, the world has recognized it as the Gulf of Mexico, backed by international agreement and historical truth. And no executive order or no foreign power can change that. You can't rewrite it. Sheinbaum is showing true leadership. Presidenta who does not bow down and who is fighting actively for Mexico's place on the world stage. And the world is watching to see what Google does. Claudia Sheinbaum says, a México se le respeta.
You want to help fight stupidity and potentially make Donald Jehoshaphat Trump very angry? Here's what you're going to do. You are going to go to Google and type in Gulf of Mexico. As you can see, Gulf of America popped up. That's where the fighting stupidity comes in. See these 3 little dots over here? You are going to click on those. This little drop-down bar is going to pop up and you are going to select Send Feedback. Then what you're going to want to do is select Inaccurate Content. It's going to ask you for some details, so go ahead and type out the correct name for this body of water is the Gulf of Mexico. Because despite Donald Jehoshaphat Trump's executive order, it is still the Gulf of Mexico. You are going to press Submit and they will thank you for your feedback. Then Google will send you an email thanking you for submitting your feedback on the Gulf of Mexico. Hopefully, this will get enough reports that we will be able to override the system and make it change it back to the Gulf of Mexico to get under Donald Jehoshaphat Trump's stupid orange skin.
When Roe was overturned, I told people that the next step would be to pull women out of the workforce and out of higher education. I was told that I was fear-mongering, it would never happen. How do I know that this is happening? Because I was raised as a Christian fundamentalist under Republican politicians, and I was told about this plan for as long as I can remember words. Let me explain to you how it's happening in real time. It starts with abortion bans. The best way to keep women impoverished and dependent is by not allowing them to dictate the timing and the size of their families, by removing their choice. We know that they said, well, it's states' rights. Now there's a federal ban on the table, which we always knew there would be. It was part of the RNC's official platform on their website until July of last year. RFK mentions in his hearing, mifepristone is going to come under attack because of safety reasons, even though it is safer than penicillin and Viagra. 4 states now are proposing capital crimes punishment for women who get abortions, including the penalty. Nothing says pro-life like punishing someone who has an abortion more than you ever actually punish. Good job, you guys. So then you put people like Scott Yenner into positions of power in education, who has said on the record that he does not believe that women should be in law, medicine, or engineering, and they should not be candidates for the Nobel Peace Prize. He also would fail all the women who took his class in Boise State. Boise State declined to investigate that. The neonatalist who saved his child's life was a black woman, unironically. Then what do? You remove DEI protections, preventing women from having equal access to higher education and the workforce, and they can now get fired for any reason. They can get fired because their boss doesn't think that women should work in the workforce. If discrimination isn't happening, then having a law saying you can't discriminate is not a problem. Then you introduce school vouchers and you sell it as school choice, when what you're really doing is defunding public education, making it inaccessible to the poor and to the middle classes. And for those children who do get into charter schools, they're religious schools, because children indoctrinated with religion young tend to have larger families than people who are not religious. And you sell this as school choice. Then you get the Department of Education to post things like homeschooling, the lifeline we didn't know we needed. Who's going to be quitting their job to homeschool the kids? Mom is going to be doing that. And you sell it as choice while taking choice away from women. And now there's no protections for women. The other thing is ignorance. You scrub websites like the Office of Women's Medical Research so they don't have access to managing their reproductive care, managing the size of their families. You remove diagnostic information for providers about birth control and about STI prevention so that women can get less and less educated and less access to control the size and the timing of their families. And then you sell it as choice and say, well, there's no laws preventing women from being in the workforce or higher education, while you have assembled barriers to them being part of those very things. Ladies, this is an affront to us having equal access to the world that we live in when we are half the population. Remember that women did not get included in medical research until 1990. We have been neglected this whole time, and this is an affront to us being full citizens in this country.
Now, Trump's presidency has come up with a lot of uncertainties, because there are those who thought after he gets to office, things will be better, because inflation was high, prices of commodities was high, but they are seeing no change. And then if you're looking at the policies that Trump is implementing, some of them are being affected directly by those. Yet they thought these things would affect others and not them. This time we could say that chickens have come home to roost for the Americans who voted for Trump. Tell me down in the comment section what's your opinion. If you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.